We've been flicking through the international papers for you here at France 24, rather I haven't. Olivia Salazar-Winspear has today. The latest she's going to be telling us about today is to do with Syria, in fact. The latest diplomatic developments, a new UN envoy heading to the country in another effort to end the bloodshed there. And apparently Iran wanting to play a role in ending the conflict as well.
Yeah. The Guardian's reporting this morning on the most recent developments, which is Lakhdar Brahmini's mission to Syria after Kofi Annan's failed mission to try and end the bloodshed and eke out a peaceful solution. Now, this is interesting that Iran's coming in. They're demanding a role in peacemaking. Kofi Annan had visited Tehran to try to get Ahmadinejad to push Bashar al-Assad towards a peaceful resolution of the conflict in Syria at the moment, but he didn't have any luck. Now, the US and the UK are very sceptical, other members of the Security Council are very sceptical about the role that Iran can play in this, but they have been trying slightly. Now, the International Herald Tribune focuses on this morning as well with an editorial called Nuclear Mullahs. They discuss the real characteristic of Iran right now, which is we're all very concerned about the nuclear threat. But one thing that they do flag up is the regional context, saying that the mullahs are shipping arms to their embattled fellow despots in Syria, which really reminds us that Syria has this large, volatile ally that are staunch supporters of Bashar al-Assad's regime. So that's to look at the regime side of things. But the Wall Street Journal's got a very interesting report about the power struggle within certain factions of the Syrian rebels, their opposition. The focus is on the north of the country, the province of Aleppo, and the article's called Leadership Rifts Hobble Rebels in North of Syria. And it goes to explain how two men are really representing the two very different sides of the opposition in Syria. One of them is a man that they say is very much in the Muslim Brotherhood model, a rural man, a farmer, well known and trusted by local people, who got into the uprising very early and is, very active. The second guy is a former Syrian army general, Abdel Jabbar al-Ugaidi. He only defected from the regime in March and began currying support from very powerful, rich Aleppans. The problem is that both of them think that they're in charge of the regional uprising in the north of Syria, and despite a few efforts, they've failed to work together on what they're doing. It's really interesting that the article underlines this as the major obstacle at the moment for the Syrian opposition, that they're not united, and even though they agree that the only way to topple Bashar al-Assad is to be united, they haven't managed to enter into a military council together, mainly because people from the old regime, these let's say originally more kind of legitimate government forces, say that we have to present an opposition that can be recognised by the international community, recognises the Geneva Conventions, etc. So they're basically saying the opposition's got a long way to go yet.
Okay, another story which is cropping up once again in the newspapers today. This is the contested islands between Japan and China.
Yes, Japan said it will now buy the Diaoyu Islands, which is contested Japanese-Chinese territory. They're buying them for $26 million. They've been renting them since 2002 from a private owner. Now, this sounds like it's the kind of thing that would stoke tensions between China and Japan, but actually Japan says they're trying to avoid tensions or trouble between the two countries because Japanese nationalists wanted to buy the islands and move on to them, but the government's just going to buy them and not develop anything on them to keep things, peaceful. The China Daily, the Chinese press, is generally very critical of this, saying it's a Japanese provocation, that Japan, they even use the word thieves, that Tokyo's throwing down a gauntlet, and they're showing their outright disregard for peace between the two countries. A lot of the Chinese papers relish the fact that Japan's not only in dispute with China, but also South Korea and Russia over territories in the sea around them.
And very briefly, in China, the government seems to have mislaid one of its highest-ranking members.
Yes, Xi Jinping, the vice president of the Communist Party, the man who's hotly tipped to take over the reins, has not been seen for 10 days. He cancelled a meeting with the Danish Prime Minister and with Hillary Clinton, which set the rumour mill into overdrive. Some people are suggesting he might have hurt his back, been in a car accident. There's some quite funny reporting in the press from Hong Kong this morning, especially, actually. But really, the overall theme is that the Chinese establishment doesn't give any information about their politicians, and it's all, very opaque. Who knows where he is?
Very soap opera, isn't it? We want to know where he is. Perhaps we'll find out one day. You never know. Olivia, thanks a lot. Olivia Salazar-Winspear with the international papers there.